Waking Up with Wesley, today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.
Waking Up with Wesley is sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.
North, we could potentially be seeing that system enhance the rainfall across the area, giving us a couple more scattered showers and storms. You can see Futurecast has slightly backed off of this system coming completely into South Mississippi, whereas some runs of Futurecast did show this much more widespread earlier this morning. It definitely has toned back quite a bit, and you can see here a lot less widespread activity, just a few scattered showers and storms moving through the area as you go into the evening and overnight hours. By about midnight, things do turn to mostly cloudy skies, with most of the rain completely out of the area. And then we pretty much stay nice and dry all the way through tomorrow afternoon. That's when rain chances could really return. But let's look at the upper air patterns. We do have some really big changes on the way. A strong ridge of high pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere is expected to begin to move and shift into the eastern portions of the country. This will lower the rain chances and will allow those temperatures to really start to increase. We could definitely see temperatures across the eastern seaboard reach the 90s, and especially here in South Mississippi, many of us in the low to mid 90s during the afternoon. We begin to see the influence from that this weekend with high temperatures right around those low to mid 90s. If you're further inland, we can't rule out those mid to upper 90s. Stray showers and storms still possible, but you can see the rain chances have gone significantly lower from the past several days. Now, keep in mind, with that heat ridge building in, the high humidity and the high temperatures, we will be seeing heat index values above 100 to 105, in some cases pushing into or near 110 degrees, once again for the heat index, not the temperature. So that does really increase the danger for heat stroke or heat exhaustion. So we want to keep that in mind. If you're going to be spending lots of time outdoors this weekend, bring plenty of extra water and maybe keep that umbrella nearby. Rain chances are much lower, but not completely zero. We still can't rule out an isolated shower or storm. As we move forward the next several days, the humidity once again staying extremely high. That will play a large factor into getting those really high heat index values. So that's something we definitely want to keep in mind, especially going into the weekend, into early next week. Any outdoor plans will require a lot of water. Have a plan B. Make sure you can get back indoors if you need to. That way you can get the air conditioning, you can cool off, and still enjoy the rest of your day. Looking at the tropics, of course, we have had a very, very inactive start to the hurricane season here on the Atlantic side. But let's look over on the Pacific side for a second. Just a few hours ago, Hurricane Eric did make landfall in southern Mexico as a major hurricane. This was a Category 3 landfall with maximum sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. Shortly before landfall, this was a fairly strong system, a Category 4 storm with maximum sustained wind speeds of 140 miles per hour as it very slowly made landfall there in southern Mexico. And once again, that was very early this morning, landfall about 6 or 7 a.m. this morning. Looking back into the Atlantic, though, all is still very quiet. So you can see here, no tropical systems are expected over the next 7 days. That is from the National Hurricane Center. And let's turn over to the Climate Prediction Center. They have a separate outlook that goes even beyond this. So we're looking into what's called the Week 2 outlook. This goes all the way to July 1st. And you can see here that the potential for tropical development is still extremely low across the Gulf, Caribbean, and Atlantic, all locations below 20% chance. That's why there's no red highlighted areas. But I would also like to point out we are starting to see a little bit of a pattern change. Looking at the coast of Africa here, there is an above average precipitation mark there in the green colors. So that does indicate that we are beginning to transition more into that early hurricane season feel, especially there in Africa, where you do get those more larger storm complexes moving off the coast. That's something that we want to keep an eye out for. Once again, that's very long term, but something just to watch for. Also note much of the Gulf in that green highlighted area. So we're moving towards a more above average precipitation rate, or above average precipitation as a whole, meaning that much more rainfall, much more thunderstorm activity. And also note this is very close to the Central American Gyre. That's another area that we want to keep an eye on, where if it continues to show that above average precipitation or that slight tropical development chance, well, we will definitely want to watch that. Now, like we have seen for most of this hurricane season, many of these systems developing out of the gyre have gone over into the Pacific. You can also see that that is expected to continue. The Climate Prediction Center still showing tropical development chance very, very high there off the southern coast of Mexico, coming off of the gyre, developing out in that zone where it is highlighted in that darker red. So once again, just a couple of things to keep an eye out for, but at least in terms of hurricane season here on the Atlantic side, things are looking like they're going to stay pretty inactive for at least the next 7 to 10 days, possibly even more when you look at this Climate Prediction Center map. Of course, tropical activity, it isn't completely uncommon that we do start fairly quiet. As a matter of fact, we typically, on average, will see the first named system by around July 20th, June 20th. So that would actually be tomorrow. So on average, we typically see our first named storm around this time of year. We haven't yet, and it looks like we may be going into a stretch where at least the next 7 to 10 days we probably still won't see anything. So that would be a very good trend when you compare that to the past several hurricane seasons. Now, looking at the 7-day forecast back here in South Mississippi, things are going to continue in that very summer-like pattern. We do have the chance for those evening and afternoon storms both today and tomorrow. Beginning this weekend, we start a new trend with those lower rain chances, but those much higher temperatures.